Today, I'm joined by coach, author, and real estate legend Ronn James. We're diving into business, real estate, coaching, and the real stuff life throws at you. If you've heard him speak or felt that voice in your head pushing you, that's probably Ronn. Welcome to the Big Bink Podcast. Yeah.
Is there no theme song? I'm disappointed.
Hold on.
Would have written. Come on.
Right?
Every little guy at every white wedding in Canada. I've got it going on, brother.
Hey, wasn't that awesome?
Yes. I love the theme song. Just kind of walks us in.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
A little heart pumping.
Holding some kind of belt over my head as I walk down the hall.
Oh, God. You could have been a champion, Ron. You could have been a champion.
You've seen midget wrestling, haven't you? Come on.
Yeah. Those guys are making a big comeback right now.
Comeback, yeah. Tag team. Like, we have to be a 3-on-1 at that point for every average sized man out there that we would wrestle.
Yeah. We can call it Earthquake and the Kid.
Yeah. Here's Jim and the Twins. Bring them to the stage. Good to see you, brother. It's been way too long.
I know we haven't started in quite a while, but I was happy you reached out to say like, hey man, put me on the camera.
We gotta talk about your success, brother. Like the last time we were like belly to belly, sort of virtually on stuff like this.
Yeah.
You were, running a team of, you, your lovely bride, and one buyer agent. Like that was it. That was, your team in a box, and with another big brand.
Yep.
At this point, and paying, whatever that cost, to which was, I know, a lot.
Yeah.
And then I saw Amorphosis. So I saw the team started getting a little different. You hopped from company A to company B, and then it puts us here where you're it. You are the guy who signs the check now at the end of the day with a much larger team, etc. So tell me about that journey, because I'm a big fan of people's successes. That's why we work together at this point, and I would love to hear the journey.
Yeah. Well, you were a big part of that, as you know. Just going through the realms, you've heard me cry the sorrows and ask for the plans, and you helped me plan those things out a lot. So yeah, we've changed a lot of tires on the journey, and what a learning experience those things have been, even just from running a brokerage as an agent. And I'm sure you've seen this 100 times. As an agent, you go, why wouldn't we do this for the brokerage? How come we don't do this? I could do that. You step in the shoes and your eyes get pretty wide.
Yep.
Right. So, there's a big learning curve in that thing, but that was part of the journey, was the challenge. It was something to aspire to. And we did some growing pains. I had to do some things that I wasn't sure I could do or be comfortable with. Right. And I just pulled the trigger and did them, and better for it.
So tell me about agent to team lead to broker of record. Like, what were the steps, the hops, and some of the big ahas, like things that you went, should have done that a long time ago, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Christ, I wouldn't do it now.
I would probably say, Ron, if anything, when I get to this point now, I've probably regressed into things that I tried reaching too far for, or maybe was wearing rose-colored glasses about things.
You think that's typical, though? Do you think most people are doing what you do, kind of go from team lead to broker of record at this point, and it was like, crap?
No, like I'm glad we did the broker of record thing. It's more about processes, where thinking that, you could build this brand that has these amazing processes and amazing things, and really, like getting into the back end of the brokerage, that's where I go, calm down. Don't get too fancy. Don't get crazy with the applesauce. You end up making way more work for yourself. There's simple ways to do things, and there's a reason why things are the way they are sometimes. So in my ideas of grandeur, trying to build something, that I'd built up in my head, right? It's much different when you put rubber to the road.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and you totally understand the back end of things now. So, getting those things under wraps, which we've really started to find our own in that now, right? So it's very things are way more streamlined, and I've definitely found, I feel, a much better way of streamlining things, as we go, and things are running very well at this point. But at the beginning, it was very difficult. You were looking for solutions that were too good to be true, solutions that, again, built up in your head that are going to be great and grand. I'm going to do this way better than anybody else. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
So that's been a big part of the journey. So going from team lead with a lot of big ideas, now we get back to the team that we have grown, um, really focused in on what really matters to a client, what really matters to sales, what really matters to prospecting. Instead of, me, I love buying technology, right? There's these,
yep,
if there's an app for it, I want to try it, and if it promises to 10x my business, you know, I'll buy it, right?
yep.
They don't work.
Yeah.
They don't all that, right?
I want to stop you because, as you know, I mean, you've been a realtor for a long time, and you've attracted, a full range of realtors, people that are new to the business, people
Yeah,
that, have sand in their shoes. They've done it for a while.
yeah.
And, the odd veteran that you work with in your community of realtors at this point. I don't know a lot of real estate agents that love the paperwork and the process and the back end and taxes and CRA.
Hmm.
Um, when you're a salesperson, you kind of go, oh shit, I got to do that at the end of the year.
Hmm.
When you're a team lead, you need to be a little bit more, on top of it. It might need to be something done quarterly,
Yeah,
but now you're the broker of record. Like, 10 cents gets spent from the till, right? 20 people need to kind of sign off on it. Where did it go? How did you need
daily.
it? Why did you need
Yeah.
it? Etc. So how did you manage, just the overwhelm of paperwork when you didn't like it to start? Now you're knee deep in it.
Yeah. What a fantastic idea, right? Yeah, one of those things.
In a word, you've just described every broker record out there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, that's again to make
And
you,
then trying to find an admin from the field that
yeah,
understands the back end so that CRA doesn't camp in your front lawn at that point.
yeah,
Like I'll pay $1 million just to get them.
100%. Thank God we've got a good accountant, we've got a good admin,
Yeah.
which was a big step for me in that run. And I mean, you told me this years ago, just as an agent. Um, you get to the point you're busy, you're experiencing the burnout, right? But you don't really know what it is. You're not trying to pinpoint it. Um, at the time you feel like, oh, I'm just being a bit of a baby, right?
No, well,
So
then there's a lot of babies in real estate because there's a lot of people that don't know the money, don't
right,
know the paperwork in behind. I
yeah,
mean, they're snipers. Like
yeah,
that's you, Bryan. To me, if I could put you in a specific role of the company, you're Chris Kyle. Like you're my sniper. You have a job
a
every
little more
day.
camouflage, a little more
Yeah,
camouflage.
a little more camouflage. But you know how to source opportunity, leads, business opportunity, etc. And that's a skill set and a gift all in one, and too few realtors actually have it. So when I take it and I want to move you to, if you will, the farm chores, like
Yes,
somebody's got to muck out the stalls, do the accounting, the paperwork, the back end, make sure compliance is done,
yeah,
especially now in the world that we live in inside, in the province of Ontario with RICO.
big time.
Our governance at this point calls for much heavier, responsibilities and transparency on our paperwork, etc.
Sure.
So to to bring you off the roof, to bring you off of the thing that you're really good at, and put you in something that you could do, or you could have a hand in. I'm looking at that going, geez, man, like we just lost our best player.
Yeah, that's a big realization getting into that, because I would feel, although since we've opened, we've been profitable.
Yay. Wow.
Good news
Who
is,
can say that?
good news is the creditors aren't chasing too hard.
Yeah.
Maybe a day late here and there, but yeah, the first year, I'm gonna say year and a half, of course you're still building and you're still doing all, and you're figuring everything out, right? If you're familiar with Lone Wolf, which I'm sure you
Yeah.
are,
They've been around a million years. Two guys, actually a Canadian company, or originally
yeah,
a Canadian
that's right.
company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where was it? Kitchener-Waterloo area?
I thought they were West. I thought they were
It
BC
was
based. Yeah, because they
BC.
sold, I think, to somebody in California. I think is
Okay.
people behind Lone Wolf now. Now, as you know, it's a trading commodity, so it could have been flipped half a dozen times.
Who knows? Yeah.
But they were the first on the table for a back end, front desk model, like some kind of
Accounting
one stop.
software
Yeah,
training.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And they were the best in class for the longest time, and probably right now fight for that position because there's
a little
too
more.
many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
exploring them on the Canadian side, it's hard to um it's hard to look at others that are not Canadian, obviously, like they're the
yeah,
compli especially when you rely on it for compliance.
right.
And
And
well,
today,
yeah,
compliance is it's keyword number one.
that's I feel like it's 90% of our
Yeah, I understand why you feel that way, Brian. I
yeah.
mean, uh, again, this is a little self-inflicted. It's not like those guys wrecked it for everybody.
Yeah,
Well, we're those guys.
we're those guys. We're those guys.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, and I mean, we come from a small town, right? And growing up, I mean, a lot of the agents that work around you, and you still know them very well, because we have an intimate border as far as the town goes, right? So, I mean, I guess percentage wise, bad players are probably the same percentage, but when you open it up to the whole province, well, now those bad players really play a role in where all this compliance comes from. When most of us are sitting going like, "Why do I have to sign this? I would never do that anyways." Well, you have to sign
Well,
up that you would never do that now, right? Or
but
you're going to disclose this and that, and the other thing.
and from your point of view, you nailed it. Small town situation, Brian. I would imagine a heavy percentile of your deals, whether you're on the selling side or the buying side at this point, you probably know the other side. If you don't know the person directly, you know their broker of record, you know their shooter in the office,
Oh
like
yeah,
you know of them. You can source these people instantly at
80% of
this
the time.
point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, if you head into the GTA, for example, and we during COVID there was a lot of drive until you can buy.
yeah, right.
So all of a sudden you have Toronto buyers. Now your sellers are going, hey, God, great, bring me a Toronto buyer.
Yeah,
Except you don't know the players anymore. You don't know the agent. You don't know their capacity to close. You certainly don't know the clients. You're seeing, the Smiths and the Joneses have been replaced by, you know, new names, new last names. Not necessarily a bad situation. Everybody needs a house in Canada. I believe that. But
that's
the
right.
reality is that it puts a different level of risk or transparency in the deal.
That's right.
Plus, Brian, you're a broker of record.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you don't typically, I can't imagine that you're the kind of broker of record that someone's just got a freshly inked, Rico Humber license and kind
Right,
of go, here's your phone book, go. Like
right,
you're involved. Hey, whoa, wait, hang on. Let me show you this. Let me see your first offer. Let me help you put that together. This is why we use this. This is the clauses. This is the steps. This is the stuff that keeps you having a license
yeah,
for the rest of your life.
yeah,
I had a job. When I started 1982, March 10th, 1982, I had a job. My broker of record was my boss,
yeah.
right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Not today. I'll tell you, brokers of record at this point, in my case, and honestly, shit the
Mm-hmm.
bed.
Yeah,
They've moved to hotel owners, and I rent you 13B, and as long as you You can paint the walls black. I don't care. Just don't get us sued. But we're not teaching or
Pay me your desk
training
fee.
you. Yeah, pay me the desk fee,
Yeah.
right? You want all the money, and I understand why. I'm not necessarily kind of browbeating those particular brokers of record. They allowed the tail to wag the dog. They allowed agents to kind of go, we're not happy with a 50-50 split anymore. We want all the money. We do all the work. We have all the clients. We want all the money. Great. So then all I am is an umbrella. And I'm Club Med. If you didn't use the paddle boards, tough. You're going to pay for them because you needed them.
That's right.
Like, and so what's happened with that, it's kind of taken the everybody's an independent contractor. I don't condone their behavior. Well, you run a brokerage, you run the shop, it's your house. You can't just let the teenagers take over. And sadly, not all, but a good majority of brokers don't really know what their team is doing. Back in the day, I used to get kicked out of the office. I would get suspended, not allowed to come back in for like 2 or 3 days. Oh, I was such a little shit at this point. And if my broker didn't catch me doing something shitty,
Yeah.
the guy at Royal LePage or Arthur F. Johnson and Associates at this point, right? I'd get a tap on the head at this point from some other broker of record in my town at this point going, hey, I'm phoning your broker about this conduct. Like someone told my parents, and I had to wait to get back to find out what my broker was going to do. And yes, true story. I was sent home many times, actually suspended for 1, 2, 3 days at this point for just dicking around in the office.
Yeah.
At this point. Can you imagine doing that today? Oh, hey, Bryan, you're not allowed in for the next 3 days, and I want you to go home and think about your actions.
No, most broker records today are paranoid of somebody even just leaving them.
Yeah,
so they'll
100%.
kowtow to whatever the agents want from them.
Well, and that's also been a problem because we've not had necessarily, penalties. Our penalties, like you pretty much have to shoot somebody, and that's still only a $5,000 fine.
Yeah.
At that point. And it's now become a cost of business, not something that is deterring behavior.
Not a reprimand so much is.
Yeah, again, the fines and fees today for misconduct are the same as they were 44 years ago when I started.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
right. The commissions are 10 times. But listen, I'll tell you something. My first house sale was a $38,000 townhouse. Right, I made $40,000 revenue, right, as a commissioned salesman on a 50-50 split in 1982 in 7 months. Now that was 3 times the income that I had made previously as an assistant manager at a restaurant.
Yeah.
At this point, I thought I died and gone to heaven with that kind of money, and then it doubled the next year, and it doubled the year after that. At this point, like I just couldn't believe, the amount of money on a 50-50 split.
Yeah, incredible.
So it's interesting when we look at the National Association of Realtors, their average split is a 35-65 split, 35 to the rep, 65 to the house. Wow. People say, well, that's not right. That's not fair. You're a musician, Bryan, so you get this situation. If we start a 4-piece band, we can go sell ourselves for $100.
Yeah.
Now we can all just take the $100 and split it 4 ways, $25 a guy.
Yeah.
But what happens is we have no money to do anything as a band. We forget that the band is an entity. So it's like, hey, everybody's going to get $20, and then we're going to put 20 in the kitty for band X. And it's like, well, the band doesn't need money. Yes, it does, because you need strings, you need sticks, we need equipment, we need merch, we need posters.
Yeah.
Who pays for that?
100%.
So every gig has a percentile to the band. In the case of real estate, you need some as the sales rep, right? And I'll tell you something, Bryan, you used to have a business where you sold to distributors, etc. Yes. You didn't make 90% of the sale volume on hundreds of thousands of dollars in auto parts.
I think I made a cool 3%.
Yes, that's the point. You made a good living doing it. You had great customer relationship. Right, but you made a percentage, and there was difference depending on the product line and stuff like this. This was 3%, this was 5%, etc. Yeah. Somehow in real estate, 90% became the norm, and you kind of go, well, then who's paying for some of the important things, i.e., like training?
Right.
You don't come out of a box and just know how to sell real estate. There's things that, you see people do. You kind of go, oh, shit, I used to do that when I was a kid. Like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I did that. Boy, I had my hand slapped then. So I'm going to be the hand slapper today and tell you that we don't do that here.
Yeah.
Others do. Good. Let them get caught. That's their problem, their compliance, but not us, not in this house.
Nope.
My house, my rules, and you need them.
You do need them.
And to me, that's leadership. I want a broker who's leading it. Brian, do you realize when my first day of real estate, March 10th, 1982, I walk in, we do agent caravan. So we go look at all the new listings. It's rare that gets done. Yeah. And that was the best way to for us to really learn the inventory, et cetera, especially if it was with the listing agent. They could give us some, insider information. This is what this is. This is what comes with it, et cetera, et cetera. It was a really great market education tool that it's rare today.
Yeah.
But we went for lunch. At this point, when I came back for lunch, they gave me foolscap. If you remember what that is, that's the long lined paper, right? And I had to rewrite
that stuff.
They handed me a blank offer, like the foolscap, and then a scenario, and I had to create the offer, right, from scratch, word for word. Now I could transpose anything that was a pre-printed, but the rest of it, all of the conditions, were not a cut and paste. We didn't have that app. We didn't even have computers.
Yeah.
Right. The day I walked into the office was the first day that the computer showed up at the office, and it was a typewriter with a squeezy phone modem thingy in here at that point that had newsprint tractor fed paper that said Brian's house is for sale. Right. Like one line, no pictures, no virtual tour, no drones,
no tours,
no none. Like here, this. There you go. There's the secret weapon to sales success, brother.
Yeah, buddy.
And if you had a gold pen, ooh, you were swishing gold. My CRM was literally recipe cards in a recipe card box.
Right.
CRM with the words CRM on the top.
Did you write CRM on the recipe cards?
Yeah, I did.
No kidding.
Well, I had to write down a whole bunch of acronyms. I didn't know what HWT stood for. I didn't know what fag heating was.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Forced air gas. Everybody calm down. Don't be sending cards and letters into the show.
Right. That's right. This is real estate talk.
That's what it said. Heating, fag. Now I'm 21 years old. I'm a 12-year-old boy inside. I titter and giggle at this point, kind of going, is that supposed to say that? Yeah, forced air gas.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm a child. What can I tell you?
Yes. We still see, I see from Toronto, I see elves.
Elves. Oh, yeah.
We never saw that in town, right? I'm like, there's no elves here.
Yeah. GB, that's a slight. I'm offended now. This is shortism right here on the show. It's been recorded. I know.
Yeah. You got proof.
Absolutely. And then there was GB and, ampersand E.
Right.
Gas burner and equipment.
Yeah.
What the hell? Right? So you had to have, and we make shit up now. We short form stuff where you kind of go, what the hell is that? Oh, that stands for, motorized drapery. Yeah, I would have got that. Yeah, that's in every home.
Yeah.
Right? Christ, we're fighting at this point in time with the Americans, whether we say foyer or foyer. Like,
I like the latter. Yeah. But imagine at the time, you would have had very limited space, though, right? So, these acronyms were important.
Oh, absolutely. And for the most part, the office was smart. They had the people that really understood it. The front desk people used to kind of, vet and clear through all of the paperwork. So when it was submitted to the board, it wasn't dumbass done by the guy at home with a laptop. At this point, it was by the people who really understood it. And in many cases, a lot of brokerages, even still today, kind of go, we don't like you doing your own broker load and stuff like that, because they get a slap on the wrist as the agency.
Yeah.
And it's like, just let our girls at the front, or whoever the admins are at the front, right, to do the work. At least it's right. If you don't like it, give them better instructions and they'll put it in the way you like. Now, I used to wrestle with that because for some reason, admins have no idea how to look at a house. All of a sudden, I have front of the house, and then I have a picture of the bathroom, then I have the backyard, and then a basement.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that how, if you were visiting somebody's house for the first time, that's how you're going to see it? Yeah. Hey, how you doing, front door? Can I see your bathroom? Oh, hey, let's look at the backyard. Oh, you have a living room. Look at that. Good for you. Like
Put
it
your
walks
shoes
through.
back on before we go to the kitchen.
Yeah. Yes. Kitchen's outside. It's in the back. So, there's a lot more responsibility, a lot more nuance to the craft that we are involved in, you and I, at this point in time. But there's very, very little education. And forget the fact that no one ever really kind of sat down with you and said, "Are you ready to run a business?" Bryan,
No.
you've sold businesses, right? In and around Tilsonburg, you don't just do residential sales, you sell businesses. And sometimes it's just the building, sometimes it's the building and business, sometimes it's just the business.
Yeah.
If one of your buyers comes in at this point and they want to buy building X, so it's a hair salon, it's a flower shop, or whatever the case is, they're asking this amount of money, and you kind of go, "Yeah, it's fair. Write it down. We'll just proceed."
Sure.
You don't. Right? You basically kind of go, "We'd like to have a look at the books. We'd like to speak to the accounting. We want to see both sets of books, the one that you show and the one you don't.
Yeah.
We want to talk to the lawyer about the lease. This is a thriving business. It's the best ice cream shop in town. It's got 6 months left on the lease.
Yeah.
And they're going to double the lease rate at the end of that.
Yeah.
Is it still a good deal?" So you really advise your clients, Bryan, to kind of go, you really should have your accountant at least preview the financials.
Yeah.
You really should have your solicitor review lease details, long-term build out, any improvement, any kind of growth, if you have success in this space.
Yeah.
At this point, tell me who said that to you when you started a real estate business.
I had a couple say, "Are you sure?"
Well, I guarantee it wasn't an accountant, and it wasn't your lawyer that wanted to
100%.
review.
No.
Can you imagine walking into your first broker and going, "Who's the guy in charge?" "Oh, that would be Bill Smith." "Okay, excellent. I'd like to interview Bill Smith and literally run through his numbers at this point in time to decide whether it's a good idea for me to go into real estate."
Yeah.
After the fit of laughter the broker of record had, he's like, "Oh yeah, call Bill. See what he says."
Yeah.
Bill's going to tell you to F off a million miles to Sunday at this point in time, because it's like, hey, if you either have it and you're going to make a good deal out of it, right, or you don't. Like,
Yep.
you didn't vet this as a career opportunity. Like,
No.
other jobs that you've had, other positions you've had in sales, right? They map out the strategy. "Hey, Bryan, this is how we actually pay you, weekly. This is the bonus structure. This is how commission works. This is mileage. This is what you get on a per diem as far as any kind of travel, situation." That you see all of this up front.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the person that's showing that to the real estate agents. We
Oh.
show you the splits. Here's the split. Funny enough, at this point, I don't care which one you pick. At the end of the day, it's a sum zero game.
That's right.
Either pay me per deal or pay me all at once, but I need anywhere from 20 to 30,000 for your chair.
That's right.
And I heard somebody recently say, "Oh, I only pay 12,000 for my chair."
Yeah.
Well, I paid 12,000 for my chair in 1982.
Yeah.
So if you're still doing it, I'm going to tell you that's a sweetheart deal. Somehow, somebody's kind of giving you a blessing. Don't ever leave, because you will not see that math again.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that are, there's no fees. Some, right?
Wow.
Like a paper transaction thing.
But even still, as a broker of record, you realize, like, brother, if we took real estate out of it, we made this a hair salon.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you cut hair, you have a clientele, you've had this established shop for a long time, Bryan. I come in and you kind of go, "You see that empty chair? Yeah, I want $1,000 or $2,000 a month. I don't care if you ever cut hair out of that chair.
Yeah.
But that's if you want to be on my shop, want to use this address, that name, right? It's $1,000 a month for that chair, or $2,000 a month for that chair, whatever it is. It's up to you to make that chair money."
Yeah.
At this point, if you're doing zero fees, or you're just doing a cost when I sell something as a broker of record, that's a tough decision to live with.
Well, then there's no carrot.
Yeah.
Right. So, we have a cap with our splits, right?
Yep.
And it's healthy enough for us. But I preach the same thing. I mean, you and I talked about that years ago, going over, like, just as an agent, right?
Yep.
You have expenses. That check looks nice. Where does it go, and where are you investing a portion of it? Because you're going to be unemployed again tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So what are you doing with that money to increase your revenue over them? How are you going to make a predictable income? That's not free to do. So there's some free ways of doing it. It's going to cost you some time too, but I think I'm lucky enough. We've kept our expenses relatively good, in the sake that we have a good team of agents that when you talk about culture and who's reviewing deals, we have the same. They follow my moral aptitude, or we at least have the similar ones, right? So we
That
kind
doesn't
of,
surprise me, brother.
yeah. And I mean, I've made it quite known in the office that I'm like, I'm not going to hire people. I don't want to be in a position to hire people or agents for the sake of paying bills.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Bryan, your business, when we worked together and it was really about client files, not necessarily personnel files,
Right.
right? It was the same. Like we used to talk about clients that are attracted to your business. And these are people that you would have beers and barbecues with, like right out of the gate. They don't know you, but
Yeah.
from the onboarding, they are Bryan's people.
Yeah.
And that's why there's Bryan's success. That's why they do well purchasing or selling with you, is because they're in step, they're in alignment, right? You told them, hey, I only play in G, and they were like, cool, we love everything in G at this point. And uh, that's how it worked. When you started to get an A minor in the middle of that, you were like, I don't know that you're my people. I don't know if I'm for you. Like, I can sell a house, yeah, absolutely, but I don't know that we can get along doing it
And you have to
at
be
that point.
comfortable saying that.
Yeah, well, and as you know, right now we're a little bit of trash hooers. We'll eat from every can at this point. If there's money
Oh
at the end of the day, we will. And it's tough for people like you and I to be coaching the
yeah.
next generation of realtors, kind of going, guys, if you really know your people,
Yeah.
who your ideal client is, or in the case of your team, the ideal hire. Like Bryan, especially in a small team, right? Dynamic, right? You can't have a cancer. A cancer can kill your team instantly. Somebody thinks they can do it a better way or a different way, or that the split's not fair enough for them, or whatever the case may be, can upend the whole thing. So
Where can people reach out to you to get world-class coaching advice?
absolutely. So telephone number 289-242-9050, 289-242-9050. And my email address directly is realestatecoachingsuccess@gmail.com. And
Absolutely.
I do have an offer for folks that do have an inquiry on this if they're interested in coaching. Mine's a very standard process. I don't have a contract
Mm-hmm.
at this point in time. If I serve the purpose that I'm needed for, right? Great. That's what I come in for. You want to have one coaching session or 101? That's fantastic, right? They're $150 plus HST for the call. At
Mm-hmm.
that point, they're an hour long. I
Beautiful.
do have some opportunities for people that are looking to do it bi-weekly, so every
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, right? So twice a month as opposed to 4 times a month. I find once a month is a little too far apart
Yep.
for us to be sticky because I'm going to hold you accountable to some work that needs to be done. And
Absolutely.
then, the cool part with my 100 days to peak performance,
Mm-hmm.
that one, when I have a cohort set up at this point, it's the deal of a lifetime because it's $299 plus HST for
For the
that.
whole 100 days
For the whole, well, it's for 14 90-minute sessions
for $299.
for $299. And I'll guarantee you, if it doesn't change your life, oh my God, then you weren't paying attention. You didn't have your hand up.